The moment we have all been waiting for is finally here. Jonathan Roumie himself said was the hardest thing he has ever done in his entire life.
This is the most difficult thing I think I've ever done.
And now, after all the waiting, the release date is confirmed. And there is even a leaked scene that is already sending shockwaves through the entire Chosen community. So get ready, because what I am about to share with you is going to hit you harder than you ever expected. The trailer begins in darkness, and before you even see a single frame clearly, you already feel the weight of what is happening, because that breathing belongs to Jonathan. And in that breathing alone, you can hear everything that Jesus is carrying, everything that is about to come. What makes this trailer so extraordinarily powerful is not just what it shows you, it is what it chooses not to show you. Dallas Jenkins and the team behind The Chosen have always understood something that so many other productions miss entirely. That restraint is one of the most powerful storytelling tools in existence. And then, the arrest. The moment the soldiers arrive in that garden with their torches and their weapons and their cold official authority, and the world that the disciples have known for years is suddenly and violently interrupted. The trailer shows us this moment in a way that is deeply unsettling because of how calm Jesus is in the middle of all of it. While everyone around him is reacting with fear and confusion and desperation, Jesus stands there with a stillness that is almost impossible to look at directly. Not because it is uncomfortable, but because it is too full, too complete. There is a peace in his eyes that you would not expect to find in that moment, and yet there it is. Now let me talk about something that has been making its way through the Chosen community over the past few days, because I know you have been hearing about it. There is a leaked scene.
And I've always taught in synagogues and the temple where the religious leaders gather.
That's not an answer.
I've said nothing in secret. If you wanted this information, you've had many opportunities to obtain it from witnesses.
I want to hear it from you.
It's a matter of public record.
Do you know who you're talking to?
If we ban you from ever teaching publicly again, will you comply?
I've also answered that previously as well.
Is that how you answer the Kohen Hagadol?
And before I go any further, I want to be clear that I am going to speak about this with the same care and respect that this story deserves. Because what has been shared is not just a random clip. It is a moment from the season that goes directly to the heart of what Season 6 is all about. The leaked scene reportedly takes place during the trial before Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin. And from everything that has been described by those who have seen it, it is exactly the kind of scene that confirms every single thing Jonathan has said about how difficult this season was to film. In this scene, Jesus stands before the full council, and the pressure in that room is suffocating. The Sanhedrin are not looking for truth. They are not looking for justice. They have already made their decision. They are simply looking for the right words to make it official. And they cannot find them, because witness after witness contradicts the one before them. The testimonies do not match. The accusations fall apart under their own weight. And through all of it, Jesus stands there, silent, still, waiting. Not because he has nothing to say, but because he understands something that no one else in that room understands. That this is not a trial. This is the beginning of the fulfillment of everything. And Jonathan reportedly plays this silence in a way that is absolutely shattering, because it is not an empty silence. It is a silence that is completely full of love, full of grief, full of a kind of understanding that goes beyond anything human. And if the reports from people who have seen this scene are even halfway accurate, I genuinely do not know how I am going to sit through it when we finally watch it in full. Let me take a moment here to talk about Jonathan, because I think it is impossible to discuss this season without spending real time on what he went through to bring it to life. Jonathan Roumie is not just an actor playing a role. He has always approached this character with something that goes far beyond professional dedication. From the very beginning of The Chosen, you could feel that Jonathan understood something essential about who Jesus was. Not just as a historical figure, not just as a religious figure, but as a person, A real, present, alive person who felt things deeply and loved people completely and carried the weight of the world with a grace that is almost impossible to comprehend. And Jonathan has always brought that understanding to every single scene he has been in. Every conversation, every miracle, every quiet moment of connection between Jesus and the people around him. But Season 6 is different. Season 6 required something from Jonathan that no previous season has asked of him. Because this is the season where everything that Jesus has been carrying finally arrives at its destination. And Jonathan has been extraordinarily open about how that affected him. He has said in multiple interviews since filming wrapped on September 17th that this season was one of the hardest periods of his life. Not just as an actor, as a person.
I'm saying these words, and hearing them, hearing myself say them, I don't feel worthy to be saying them.
He has described going home after filming certain scenes and simply not being able to function in the way he normally would. Not because something went wrong, but because something went so deeply right that it took everything he had. He has described moments on set where the emotions were so real and so present that the line between Jonathan and Jesus seemed to almost disappear entirely. And I think that is the most extraordinary thing any actor can say. Not that they played a character well, but that they were changed by the experience of becoming that character, even temporarily. He has also spoken about what got him through it, and this is the part that I personally find the most moving of everything he has shared. He says that in his darkest moments during filming, when the physical and emotional exhaustion was at its heaviest, he would stop and ask himself a simple question. What would Jesus think right now? What would Jesus do? And in asking that question, he says he found a strength that he could not have found any other way. He says that fully surrendering to Jesus, not just as a character to portray, but as a real and living presence, was the thing that carried him through. And if that does not tell you everything you need to know about the kind of season we are about to watch, I honestly do not know what else I can say. Now, let me get to what I know so many of you have been waiting to hear about, because this is the part that has the entire Chosen community buzzing right now. The official release date details have been confirmed, and I want to walk you through exactly what we know and what it means for us as fans. Dallas Jenkins has confirmed that the first 6 episodes of Season 6 will be available to watch in fall 2026, which means that we are not years away from this anymore. We are not even a full year away. We are months away, just a few months away from being able to sit down and watch Season 6 begin. And I know that for a lot of us, the emotions around that are complicated, because we have been waiting for so long, and we love these characters so deeply, and we know what is coming. And part of us cannot wait to see it, and part of us is genuinely afraid of how much it is going to hurt. And then there is the Crucifixion, the moment that the entire series has been building toward from the very first episode of Season 1. Dallas has confirmed that the Crucifixion will be a feature-length episode, and it will be released in theaters in spring 2027. Going back to the trailer for a moment, because there is so much in it that I want to make sure we give proper attention to. One of the things that struck me most, beyond even the Gethsemane scenes and the arrest and the early glimpses of the trial, was the way the disciples are portrayed in what we can see.
If he was supposed to be healed, God would have done it himself.
Because Season 6 is not just the story of what happens to Jesus. It is the story of what happens to the people who love him. And watching the disciples in this trailer, watching the confusion and the fear and the desperate love that they carry, is heartbreaking in a completely different way than watching Jesus himself. Because the disciples do not fully understand yet. They are doing everything they can. They are trying. Peter, in particular, looks like a man being torn in 2 directions simultaneously, and we all know what is coming for him. And that knowledge makes every single moment he appears on screen carry an unbearable weight. And Mary Magdalene. I want to spend a moment on her because I think her journey in Season 6 is going to be one of the most emotionally devastating threads in the entire season. From the earliest glimpses in the trailer, it is already clear that what she is about to witness and endure is going to be shown with a depth and a tenderness and a heartbreak that is going to stay with viewers long after the episode ends. Mary has always been one of the most beautifully written characters in The Chosen. Her relationship with Jesus has been portrayed with such care and such honesty throughout the series. And now, in season 6, she is going to have to watch the person who gave her back her life face the worst that the world can do to a human being. And she is going to stay. That is the thing that gets me every time I think about it. She stays. When so many others run, she stays. And watching that faithfulness play out on screen is going to be extraordinary. The production quality of what we can see in the trailer is also worth talking about because it is immediately clear that Season 6 has been made with an even greater level of care and craft than anything that has come before it. The cinematography alone, from what we can see in the trailer, is stunning in a way that feels entirely appropriate for what the season is about. There is a heaviness to the way it is shot, a weight, a darkness that is not hopeless but is honest. It does not shy away from the reality of what Jesus faced. It does not soften it or romanticize it in a way that would reduce its impact. It looks at it directly. And in doing so, it creates an atmosphere that is both deeply uncomfortable and somehow deeply sacred at the same time. Which is exactly right. Which is exactly what this story demands. I also want to talk about Pilate, because the character of Pontius Pilate in The Chosen has always been one of the most carefully constructed moral portraits in the entire series. He is not a simple villain. He never has been. He is a man who is trapped between his own conscience and the enormous weight of power and political pressure. And in Season 6, that tension is going to reach its absolute breaking point. The trailer gives us glimpses of Pilate that are genuinely painful to watch, because you can see the conflict in him. You can see the man who knows he is about to do something he cannot undo, and who is going to do it anyway. And that kind of moral failure, the quiet, sophisticated, reasonable-sounding kind, is in many ways more frightening than simple cruelty, because it is so recognizably human. And then there is Herod. And I have to say that the way Herod is presented in what we can see of Season 6 already captures something very specific and very unsettling about his character. He is a man who has heard about Jesus for years, who has been curious about him, who has wanted, in his own shallow and self-serving way, to encounter him. And when he finally does, when Jesus stands before him, Jesus says nothing, nothing at all. And Herod, who has spent his entire life surrounded by people who perform for him, who flatter him, who give him whatever he wants, Herod does not know what to do with that silence. And so he mocks it. He dresses Jesus in a royal robe as a joke, as entertainment, and sends him back. And the cruelty of that moment is not in the physical treatment, though that is coming. The cruelty is in the dismissal, in treating the most important encounter of his life as a disappointment because it did not entertain him. And watching that moment in Season 6 is going to be one of those quietly devastating moments that sits with you long after you have finished watching. Something else that I have been thinking about a great deal since the trailer dropped is the question of silence. Because silence is one of the central themes of what Season 6 appears to be. Jesus' silence before Herod, his silence during the trial, his stillness in the midst of chaos. And I have been thinking about what that silence means and why it is so powerful. Because the Jesus that Jonathan has portrayed throughout this series is not a quiet man by nature. He is someone who teaches with passion and clarity, who engages directly with every person he meets, who asks questions and tells stories, and sits with people and draws them out. His silence in Season 6 is not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. It is the silence of someone who has already said everything that needs to be said. And now, what needs to happen simply needs to happen. And I think that when we watch Jonathan carry that silence across 6 episodes, we are going to understand it in a way that goes beyond intellectual understanding. We are going to feel it. And I believe that feeling is going to change us. Before I wrap up, I also want to share something that I think is genuinely beautiful amidst all of the weight of what Season 6 is about. Dallas Jenkins recently confirmed that Season 7 is already in development, and that the world of The Chosen is going to continue expanding in ways that are incredibly exciting. There are major projects in the works, including Joseph of Egypt and Book of Moses, which suggests that the creative vision behind The Chosen is not slowing down or narrowing. It is growing. It is expanding. It is building something that is going to last. And while Season 6 is the season that carries the heaviest emotional weight of anything this series has ever attempted, it is also not the end. The story continues, the work continues, and knowing that, somehow, makes the weight of Season 6 a little more bearable. Not lighter, but more bearable. Because grief is always more bearable when you know it does not have the final word. But right now, in this moment, Season 6 is what we are here for. The trailer is out, the release dates are confirmed, the leaked scene has given us a glimpse of what is waiting for us in those trial sequences. Jonathan has given everything he has to this role and to this season. The entire cast and crew have poured themselves into making something that is worthy of the story they are telling. And in just a few months, we are going to be able to sit down and watch it. All of it. The arrest in Gethsemane, the trials, the silence, the suffering, the impossible, aching, world-changing love that holds all of it together. And it is going to be one of the most profound experiences that any of us have ever had as fans of this story. I do not know about you, but I am not sure I am ready. And I think that might be exactly the right way to feel. Now I want to hear from you. Have you watched the trailer yet? Did it hit you the way it hit me? And are you ready, truly ready, to watch Season 6 when it finally arrives? Tell me everything in the comments, because right now, I think we all need each other for this one.